So last night, I was going down a YouTube rabbit hole when Kenny sent me a text message about what happened at the Oscars.
Oh, I sent that message to you. I was the one to inform you about what happened. Okay.
Yes, you were, Kenny. And because my thing is, I don't watch award shows anymore.
Oh, me either. I saw it on Twitter. I didn't watch it live.
Well, I also like what on that. You know how sometimes you just like you're in the house, you can be on Twitter, but you just kind of don't feel like being on Twitter at the moment.
Oh, I do that all the time. I just recently started getting on Twitter more. You noticed this. I barely on social media.
Fair point. Well, again, I was in a YouTube rabbit hole, and I was pulled out of that YouTube rabbit hole by you, Kenny, because Will Smith slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. At which I said, what? And then I actually watched the full video and I figured out why he slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. And I went, oh, that's justified then. And it's like, my thing is, as we've gone through the day, because if you recall, Kenny, when I was talking to you earlier, I was pretty riled up about it all. But the more I've gone through the day, I've calmed down about it. And here's the thing, all right? I want to start this entire tangent by saying that Chris Rock made a documentary about Black people's hair. So you would think he would understand the sensitivity of Black people's hair in general, let alone a woman with alopecia. So let's go ahead and blanket the baseline there. All right. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith is no saint. Completely understandable. However, that is still Will's wife at the end of the day. And no matter how many jokes we get off on that shit, eventually they gotta hit home the more you see them. And the way social media, celebrities alike have been just making Will Smith the butt of the jokes over the last year or two about the entire situation. And, you know, again, their open relationship marriage, eventually it's going to come to a boil. Like, you can only get away with, you can only get away with hearing so many things about you before eventually you just explode. And what we saw last night was Will Smith exploding on. Is that Kenny? Yeah, we're recording. Oh, shit. Well, we get matched up first round. You're my enemy.
I'm aware of this.
It's all love at the end of the day, but if we get matched up first round, y'all the enemy.
I mean, look me in my face. I ain't got no words.
Yeah, I love that energy. Man. So this is just accumulation of all the jokes, all the shots, all the banter. And again, as a human being, you can only take but so much unless you're like one of those people with like no feelings, and which I think is stupid because to feel is to be human and vice versa. So, however, it's all just accumulated. And Chris Rock had a set of jokes prior to literally, like, the first joke was about Denzel Washington Training Day. Second joke was about somebody and their wife, and the husband of that, union, hoping that Will Smith won the Oscar instead of his wife. Otherwise, he'll never hear the end of it. All right. All right. And then you make a bald joke at Jada Pinkett. And that's where the record kind of scratches. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get why Will did what he did. Again, he's barely even respected in this household. And he's supposed to be like the man and the husband protecting his wife. But he's also minimally respected in his household. So it causes you to want to put yourself in his shoes. Like, not only how do I gain the respect back from my family, but how do I make y'all put respect on my name? Because apparently the films and the other Oscars and so on and so forth, that ain't enough. Y'all still want to get these jokes off. That's the thing about society. We're going to get these jokes off. That's just how it goes. But again, there's a certain amount that one can take. And that just exploded all over Chris Rock last night. And Kanaz was saying that, he's just picked the motherfucker. He could do that too. And it's like, that may be a point, that may not. But the fact of the matter is that Chris Rock is making a joke that you would think he'd be sensitive to, but apparently he wasn't. And the joke was just all around in bad taste for real. Like, who the fuck even remembers G.I. Jane? I don't. So it was just an all around bad situation. And honestly, you put me in my shoes, I did the same thing Will did. And I know you said that, you could handle it backstage. It's like, nah. Like, because why would you say that out of your mouth in public? So now, this has to be resolved in public immediately. Otherwise, more jokes. And those jokes would never end. Instead of me winning that Oscar for King Richard 20 minutes later, I'm going to be remembered as being clowned. Not only by you, but by my wife as well. Because I got to go home to that. You know what I'm saying? So everything about the situation, it was just a tight spot for Will to be in. And albeit the fact that he didn't quite handle it the way people wanted him to handle it, he handled that shit. Because listen, words don't always get the point across. But I bet you Chris Rock ain't gonna make another Jada Pinkett joke again. That's for true. So it's like, it is what it is, and it beats what it be. I don't think Will Smith should have his Oscar, taken back from him, because Roman Polanski still has a fucking Oscar. Y'all gave Harvey Weinstein hella Oscars, even though y'all revoked that for obvious reason. Billy Crystal did blackface during the Oscars. There have been far worse shit that happened at the Oscars. Far worse. And Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock for saying something about his wife, merely tame, if you ask me. But on the other side of that fence, it's like, I again challenge comedians to not go in on people, and we'll see how funny they really are. So
I just find it shocking at this point in society where we grew up on Michael Jackson, Billy Gago wrote jokes. You know what I'm saying? We grew up on Whitney Houston drug addiction jokes. We grew up on R. Kelly sex jokes. And we talked about far worse more egregious, terrible things and made jokes about it and found fun about it. You know, that alopecia is the line that gets somebody slapped. Like I don't remember or recalling anyone for making those jokes like that in the past. Getting ran up on, much less on national television. You know, maybe that's just the way my mind operates. I don't know. Maybe I just like to see on both sides of the coin because there's always three sides of the story, my side, your side, and the truth. And the truth is, it's like, bottom line, Will got a lot of unresolved trauma over there. Okay. And Chris Rock do too. He's just coming out of a divorce too. So it's like, you got to know, like, this is what it's. Hmm? Hmm?
I actually read an article or like a part of an article on Twitter that Chris Rock may or may not be autistic.
Yeah, like he was telling me about. I think Oracle was telling me about this that he's got some disease where he can't read non-verbal cues or something like that.
Yeah, I just read that.
Can't read a room.
Yeah,
exactly. So if that's true, take into consideration that man's whole career.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. And then, like I was explaining to Kenny earlier, like if he went to a Jewish school in the 70s,
yeah,
as a black kid, and
yep.
was the only black kid, imagine what happened to him in that school in the 70s.
Yeah.
And if he had this then, imagine what traumatic experiences he went through that didn't make it into Everybody Hates Chris. So if that's the case, Slim, he has a whole life of trauma to unpack because he can't read nonverbal communication.
All right.
I don't know if we all realize how
significant that really is.
significant that is, like not being able to realize like when somebody does
Right.
like, if that doesn't register to you, like that's wild.
Right.
Yeah.
Because imagine if Will tried to come to him before and was just like, hey, we good on them jokes, right? You know what I'm saying? And he don't really see, can't read his face and nothing of that. And we're like, yeah, you know, I'm just being me. It's something to consider. You know what I'm saying? I got a post on Instagram. D.L. Hughley posted this, and I want to read it because I feel like it's something that's really like important to like understand about this, and for everyone that's thinking that this whole thing is building up because of Chris Rock saying these jokes in 2016 and all this other stuff. I want to read this. It says, unpopular opinion. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was misdirected anger and frustration behind becoming a joke, meme, and the poster boy for emasculization by no fault of his own. Chris took that slap for everyone on social media who Will can't hit. Chris also took that slap because Will hasn't properly and effectively dealt with his anger and frustration with Jada, which if we look at everything that has been reported and them publicly, because they mega stars, okay, in the industry. This is what happens. It comes to the territory. Your life is on full display. The same for Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying? His life on full display. Families make fun of his marriages. We make fun of all these people that in the life. That's what comedians do. No, that's what happens. If that's the truth, it's deeper issues than that joke that made Will snap. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we can just try to put it all on. It's all Chris Rock's fault, and people keep mentioning the documentary Good Hair and all this other stuff. And it's like,
no, that's still the main line.
The main issue is not even about the hair. The main issue is about how Will's been feeling in his household, and he probably had to do something in his mind to show that he ain't weak. That don't mean that. It's like it can be. It's what's the word I'm trying to find? Somebody help me. It's understandable, but it could be, you know what I'm saying, completely looked at wrongly at the same time. Like
just because it's justifiable doesn't mean it's right.
Correct.
Boom.
Just because somebody give you the noose to hang somebody because they didn't shot you in your foot doesn't mean you should use the noose to hang somebody because they shot you in the foot.
Correct. So like, because now think about Chris, what he got to go through. He made a joke with some people may call it bad, some people may call it funny. Not every joke hit. Okay, if the joke wasn't funny, it wasn't funny. And I can almost guarantee you, people keep bringing up it's been recorded that Jada has alopecia. I can guarantee you, Chris Rock is not the individual that's like, I don't care about nobody's feelings. He's never been that way. Like, if you tell him something matters to you, he'd be like, he's talking about, he's like, if somebody really tells me, okay, that joke really hurt me, something like that, I won't make that joke. Or if something is really bothering them like that, I won't do that. I can almost guarantee you he did not know that Jada came out about alopecia and how she felt about that. Because anybody that's her friend, he's known Will for decades now. Okay, this ain't the first time they in the same room. And this ain't the first time he been around Jada. He probably ain't talked to Jada in a long time and don't know how she really feel about that. He got his own life, okay? Just because we can keep up with all that stuff, because a lot of us don't do anything on the level that they do. Not saying you don't have busy lives, so don't do that. We don't do things on the level of them. I can almost guarantee he ain't know that. So you trying to put that on him saying he should know better. No. You won't know what's too far until you do it. And that's for anybody. So y'all trying to victimize Chris Rock like he just been doing this just to mess with Jada and Will. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. He made one joke about them in 2016. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And they was thriving through that whole thing. And then later they had that whole entanglement thing going on. Stop it. Stop it. That one joke, do not make all that going on because you don't know what's happening. Stop it.
Nah, I don't like how people decide they want to be monogamous when that applies. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knew that this is an open marriage. And so why are we even getting jokes off about this when open marriages are a thing?
Okay, but on the same side, you can say that everybody don't know that Jada came out with alopecia like that. Because what if Chris did not know that? That's the thing.
That's a fair point. However, you can't just, make jokes about something that you literally made a serious documentary about. That's like, Kenny, let's say that you made a documentary about something that you were passionate about, right? Or not even like passionate, that you took seriously to a certain extent because of not just your experience, but the people the people around you's experience, like Steph's, or let's say you have children and they experience the same like situations and injustices that you face, and then you turn around and you make a miss of a joke about somebody else that's going through it. Now, I give you the point. Maybe perhaps he didn't know that, she actually had alopecia. I'll give you that. And again, let's not negate the fact that Jada Pinkett Smith ain't a saint herself. Like, again, we'll have to deal with that, and that and all this entire, like, all of it just created a perfect storm for Will to have to defend himself one way or another in public. And on one side of the fence, I get it, because as a man, you can only go but so far till you reach the limit where you're like, all right, I'm feeling disrespect from all fucking angles and something needs to be done about it. But on the other side of that fence, it's like, hey, Chris Rock can't read a room, bro. Like, that may be the issue here. Like, mind you, as Will was walking up to him, he was still talking like a little bit, talking about, oh, here comes Richard. Like, he really did not know he was about to get the shit slapped out of him. And then when it did happen, he was surprised that he got the shit slapped out of him to the point where he said, Will Smith really slapped the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, one, that wasn't a bit because the Academy does not roll like that. And historically speaking, we know that. So that whole, it was like it was a fake, it was a work. No, that was a shoot. All that entire situation was a shoot. But
for those who don't know wrestling terminology, that means it was real.
Yeah, that was most certainly real.
In which, if you don't know wrestling terminology, I think you should
Watch fucking
yeah.
But again, like, if he don't know how to read a room and he like is telling jokes and such, it's like, you want to say you can't fault him, but on the other side of that fence is like, again, you knew better enough to make a documentary about Black people, more specifically Black women and their hair. And if there was anything you will learn from that documentary, or even making that documentary, is that Black women do not fuck around with their hair. They just don't, bro. Like, and you don't need to watch that documentary to know that either. So it's like, everyone was in the wrong. I'll say that. Everyone was in the wrong. However, like you said, just because, you got shot in the foot doesn't mean you have to hang them for it. And, well, that's what we got. Like, was it right to slap the shit out of Chris Rock in front of all those people? No. It also wasn't right to make fun of a man's wife in front of all of those people either. So
I just think it's hilarious that, in the same night that happened with Chris Rock and Will Smith, Ricky Grievous and Leonardo did the same thing with Leonardo DiCaprio and his wife. But
what?
Ricky Grievous did the same thing with Leonardo DiCaprio and his wife. I'm just throwing that out there. Grievous, I don't know how to say his name. Gervais, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Gervais, whatever. I don't watch him, so I don't know his name.
You just call that man General Grievous from Star Wars?
I don't know him because I don't watch him. I don't watch him.
Everybody time out.
Well, let me put it into perspective, Kenny.
The point is not the man's name.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down as far as the point goes. However, let me give you another perspective on things. Did we not clown the shit out of Ted Cruz when Donald Trump called his wife a dub? Well, did we?
I mean, yeah.
All right.
Who is this we you speak of? Because I'm not included.
People in general.
Carlos, we've concluded before we even started pre-show that you just don't be involved in these things because you don't care to be involved in these things. Why? Because you got your own life to live, and that's more important to you. And I get that. All right. I wish I could be a little more like you in that perspective, but I carry a soapbox around. So
I honestly, the only reason I'm even talking about it is because everybody's so much in uproar, but I honestly couldn't care less either. It's like,
honestly, up until you showed me that video, I ain't give a shit what happened at the Oscars. I would have woke up this morning and be like, that happened? But I've gone through the process of thinking about it and thinking it through. And it's like, you put me in that position, I'm doing the same fucking thing. Don't talk about me and mine like that. Like, you can talk about me all you want to. Don't talk about my old lady. And in turn, I make it a staple to not talk about another man's significant other. I've grown to, realize that that's not the move. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple. It's rude in general. Like I said, talk about me all you want to. We can get these jokes off about me. But once you cross the line of my significant other or my family, and they not here to defend themselves, well, now we got a problem. That's just a pretty simple fucking rule. Like I understand that the proverbial social contract no longer exists in the society, but treat others the way you want to be treated sometimes, and that called for one of those moments. But
But what if someone wants to be treated bad? Nobody ever answers that
nobody.
question for me. What if the person wants to be treated bad and they're treating others the way they want to be treated? Someone please answer me that.
Well, they need to seek help in general, not even just therapy. They might need.
But how do you tell someone that if their whole life they've been treated that way and they think it's good? How do you do that? You can't do that.
Read the room.
Clearly, Chris Rock can't. We're just creating more problems at this point.
Right, you literally just explained how he couldn't read that Will Smith was pissed and he was laughing as he was coming up there.
Nah, but seriously, like I get where you're coming from, Slippers, and it's sad to see that people do want to be treated like shit. You know what I'm saying? But again,
it's not even their fault. This is what I'm saying. Like, which again, I say this. I'm gonna say the same thing that I said before pre-show and pre-show. If you treat the people with the grace that you will eventually need, we wouldn't be in most of these situations. But because we always gotta get these jokes off, or because we always gotta do this and we always gotta do that, it's going to continue to be this. And people are gonna feel like they need to go to drastic extremes to make points and do certain things because there's no grace, there's no empathy. It's not treat others how you want to be treated, because again, we just established that some people, unbeknownst to them, want to be treated badly, but they don't realize that it's badly to them in their minds is good.
yeah,
So it's like you gotta show grace. Like you gotta be like, man, they made a mistake. All right, come here. Let me tell you, let me tell you something. But that also requires a relationship with somebody. You can't just like I can't go do that to either of them two people because I don't know them. But if one of y'all was to do something like that, I could call y'all and be like, hey, you might not have wanted to do that. I don't think you realize what you just did.
right.
Come on, let's sit down and talk about it for a second. I'm not trying to cast no aspersions on you. I'm not trying to judge you. We just gonna talk it out so you can see with your words what you just did, and then understand what's about to happen because of what you just did.
Right. On the flip side of things, though, while this was a situation where we all need to extend grace, there are some situations where some don't deserve that, like Harvey Weinstein's, your Roman Polanski's, your
Just because somebody does something egregious doesn't mean they don't deserve grace. That's what's wrong with the world. Because that's the reason people do those egregious things. It's because they don't have grace. Because their whole life is ruined by shame. So they gotta hide it. And when you hide it, it gets pushed deep down. And the deeper it goes, the more terrible of a human you become. Because once it get out, you're gonna be treated like garbage and you have no redemption afterward. That's why people get so low. That's why it happens. That's why they create the victims.
And that's why you need a good circle of people around you that's actually gonna like see you, that people that are actually gonna tell you, hey yo, you need to chill out. Yeah. And then if you don't listen, then whatever consequence you pay is the consequence you pay. But
right.
If you pay that consequence and you're trying to make the growth to progression to get better, and people see that, grace is warranted. That's like if I was to commit a murder for something, but if you see like if one side knows the context of the quote unquote murder, like self-defense and all this stuff, but none of that comes out because it just looks like I killed a person and I provide the proof and everything like that, people are going to extend the appropriate amount of grace for the situation. You know what I'm saying? And that is how you have to know, like, the amount of grace you need to extend. Like after the 6th, 7th, 8th time, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, you get your comeuppance and it's going to happen.
There's no saving.
But everybody that does act like that do not have to be crucified. And we're in a society where everybody crucified.
Right. Immediately
And,
first time.
correct. And I hate to do this again,
Yeah.
but the greatest example of this in times is one man who reportedly did nothing wrong and got killed. You know what I'm saying? We know that guy's name without me saying that guy's name. If y'all know me, y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay? Yes. You know what I'm saying? So, because I don't want to. He talks about this too much. Whatever. Listen.
Well, you're not worse than my dad, so there's that.
So again, but this man did nothing and y'all killed him. So if they do that to him, a man who's perfect, who's quoted as not doing anything wrong, what makes you think that it's not gonna happen to anybody else? And this is far off left of what we're trying to talk about. The weather.
The only reason things were hating on Jesus, dog. That's what really what it was about.
You know what? But yeah, all that to say,
hater, bro.
all that to say, saying you just gotta know when to distribute grace when it's needed, and how much it's needed and appropriate. And everybody just need to grow, man. Like, don't be afraid of growth.
It's like nobody likes how that lesson was dealt to Chris Rock, but I'm pretty sure that Chris Rock learned a valuable lesson. And after this week or so, like, we should just build a bridge and get over it. Like, what he said was what he said. He got dealt with, and he won't do it again, more than likely. So let's just keep moving.
And I'm pretty sure Will Smith won't slap anybody in public.
I wouldn't say all that.
I would hope he'd think about it the next time he goes slap somebody at a award show.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. However, let's get to where we need to be, guys. Let's go ahead and start the show.
He's gonna slap that man at the beats. Slap somebody at the beats heel.
I will go out and say this though. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna act with this bracket, but I'm gonna try. Well, not even try. Like, I know that we can be fucking hilarious without firing any, like, low blows at whatever subjects we talk about. Well, except for Vince McMahon. You're going to make Vince McMahon impressions. That's why.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bracket of weird moments if I didn't pull a yeah out of the bag.
However, nonetheless, let's go ahead and get started.